Kirby, Kirby, Kirby. What can I say about him? It's a name you should know. He's the star of the show. The Kirby series is one of Nintendo's big franchises, up there with the likes of Mario, Zelda, and Pokemon. Well, maybe not as big as those series, but he gets more love than a lot of the other ones, and it's certainly my favorite. I first encountered Kirby playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl at my cousin's house. And even though I didn't really know them at the time, I loved all the characters from Brawl. But most of all, I loved Kirby, and I still do. He brings a light to the miserable abyss of my heart. So on that note, I want to talk about the Little Pink Puff's first game, Kirby's Dream Land. Released for the Nintendo Game Boy in April 1992 in Japan, and stateside in August of the same year, sporting this box art. Who's that? Is that Kirby? Is he sick? Anyway, it was developed by HAL Laboratory and published by Nintendo, and was the first directorial role of game industry darling Masahiro Sakurai. You know, the guy who created Super Smash Bros., Kid Icarus Uprising, and Meteos? Yeah, everyone's favorite. So the story goes, Nintendo made a request to one HAL Laboratory for a game that anyone could enjoy, and newcomer Sakurai created his pitch. Originally intended as a placeholder character, Sakurai designed this ball and named him Popo. The game was going to be called Tinkle Popo. Does a name like that just make you want to fire up the old brick? What once was just a simple placeholder character grew on Sakurai, and he decided to keep it for the final game, as he thought an easy-to-draw character would have a wide appeal. Eventually, I guess he realized that nobody wanted to play as a character named Popo, so he renamed it to Kirby, which is just the greatest name for him. Now, people have said that Kirby was named after the Kirby brand of vacuum cleaner, while others have said that he was named after John Kirby, Nintendo's lawyer who represented them in the Universal lawsuit. Just imagine these timelines. So which is it? Well, Sakurai has said that he doesn't actually remember where the name came from, but certified Nintendoman Shigeru Miyamoto has given credence to the lawyer theory, saying that they chose the name partially because of John, but mainly because it's funny. And it is. So now that we're well acquainted with this cotton ball, what would motivate him to go on a grand adventure anyway? Well, the greedy self-proclaimed King DDD stole all the food in Dreamland. Not only that, but he stole their sparkling stars too. Suddenly, a spry little boy named Kirby happened along and said, "Don't worry, I'll get your food and your sparkling stars back." I've never heard him form a complete sentence in my life. Now that that's all out of the way, let's finally start the game. Oh, right. I forgot this is how the original Game Boy looked. I bet Sneeze is more powerful than this system. Luckily, with the power of Game Boy Color, we can go from Piss World to 4 entire simultaneous colors. Everyone's played a Kirby game, I think. I refuse to associate with those who haven't. Sorry boss, I'm not answering any emails until you play Squeak Squad. But it's a pretty simple series at heart. You run, jump, float around, and just be a total pig, inhaling food as well as your enemies. The best part? When you swallow an enemy, you can steal their powers. Just swallow and... Oh, time to die, I guess. Yeah, the copy abilities weren't added until the next game, so there's no sword, no beam, no nothing, just the gluttony. All you can do is inhale your enemies and spit them back out as projectiles. Now, there are power-ups, but they're pretty context-sensitive and kinda suck. I'm sorry, but I don't think I'm going to be crucified for hating on the mint leaf. And what? Bag of magic food? That's a Maxim tomato. Who wrote this crap? Unfortunately, even with the power-ups, the lack of copy abilities honestly makes this game not have nearly as much variety or depth when it comes to the combat. And while it may not be fair to judge the game based on features added in future games, I'm gonna do it anyway, and there's nothing you can do about it. There are a total of 5 stages in the game, all with varying degrees of alliteration in their titles. And by that I mean, one stage has it and the rest are severely lacking in rhetorical devices. Hey, but each of them have a cute little intro animation. I've been watching these on loop for 3 hours. The formula is simple. Make it through each stage and then you have to fight a wacky boss. Wonder if these guys will ever show up again. Actually, stage 5, Mount DDD, is a little bit different. Here you choose from 4 mini stages and have to find and touch an imposter Kirby to move on to fight a boss, where you fight one of the 4 bosses you already fought. So, maybe not that different. I already smoked the newlyweds once. Should I just go ahead and buy them matching caskets? Upon defeating all 4 bosses, you move on to fight the big man himself, King DDD. He can sit on you, crush you with his giant hammer, and even inhale you, using your own power against you. But if you fight back with the sweet, sweet stars he leaves behind, you can send him packing to the great beyond. Having toppled the communist regime, Kirby picks up the entire castle, flooding the streets with food and letting obesity take hold of the land once again. Truly an American hero if ever there was one. And after the credits roll, you learn a secret button combo that unlocks the extra mode. Oh, there he is. But all it does is replace the enemies with more difficult ones. As previously mentioned, there's only 5 stages, and this is a platformer that lets your character fly. You might be thinking, doesn't that make the game too easy? Yes, I beat it in 30 minutes. Kinda makes the whole lack of variety thing a moot point when it literally takes me longer to eat lunch. Like, I could complain about how little variety there is in this Hot Pocket, but my lunch break is already over. On a positive note, the movement in this game is really smooth for a Game Boy game, which is a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. I know people love the Super Mario Land games, but I just can't get behind them. He runs weird and it makes me uncomfortable. But Kirby's actually fun to control. Also, the soundtrack is just divine 8-bit goodness, and was the introduction of themes that would become staples in future games, like King Dedede's theme and Green Green's, which has been used more times than there are atoms in the universe. In all seriousness, as a Game Boy platformer, it's a pretty good, albeit very short game. But even more important than that, it set the foundation for the rest of the series to build upon as simple and fun games that anyone can enjoy, and that makes it a sparkling star in my book.
Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, no. Bangos des, Yoroshiku.